Hey, it's Susan. So in my last video, I talked about which supplements are the most antiviral, and I gave some special little tweaks for COVID, but everything I said would apply to any type of flu or virus. And today I wanted to talk about which foods are the most antiviral. First of all, I want to talk about the one food that is the most virus promoting, I guess you would say, and that is sugar. So just got to get this out first because, right when it gets cold and there's less sunshine, the angle of the sun is not high enough in the sky to let us get enough vitamin D from it if we were outside enough. But it's cold, and so we're inside a lot, so we're around more people with less vitamin D. For some reason, we seem to increase our sugar consumption at the same time, and that is just asking for a viral infection. So I looked up some numbers on sugar because I'm always on this soapbox about sugar, but I found out that 100 grams of sugar will decrease your white blood cell count by 40% for 4 to 5 hours. It's not that hard for one to consume 100 grams of sugar. That would be a soda, 39 grams of sugar. A piece of pecan pie was 31 grams of sugar, and a Three Musketeers bar is 37. Plus, there's lots of hidden sugar in foods that we're not even aware of, stuff like fruit juice or sweet potatoes with all the sugar added in, or just lots of different foods have sugar. So one thing you got to do, maybe the main thing, but I don't know about that, but you really got to decrease your sugar this time of year. But on to the foods that we do need to be eating, the foods that are the most antiviral. Number one that comes to mind for me is garlic. Garlic is antiviral, antifungal, and antibacterial, so you can hardly go wrong with garlic. It's easy to find any time of year. You will get the most benefit from garlic if you'll chop it up, mince it, whatever you do with your garlic, 20 minutes before you cook it. You can do it 20 minutes before you eat it raw, and I advocate eating it raw as well as cooked. But if you don't get it minced up 20 minutes before you eat it, that's okay, because you have enzymes in your mouth that will help you to utilize all the benefits of garlic. Another great one is onion. Leeks, shallots, all of those in that same family, great for antivirals. And then it would be foods that supply the very nutrients that I talked about in the supplement video. Foods that are high in vitamins A and C and D and zinc and selenium. So I'll go through all those in just a moment, but you want vitamin A because it's so good as an anti-infection, and it's good for your respiratory tract, your GI tract, skin, anything like that, wound healing. You want vitamin C because it stimulates the formation of antibodies that are going to fight infection and everything, and it shortens the durations of colds and flus. You want selenium to prevent infections. You want zinc because it stops the virus from replicating. You want vitamin D because it just blocks the virus, first of all. And then you want quercetin, and you want EGCG from green tea to get the zinc inside the cells. So that's why you want those things. And we'll talk about foods that are rich in those in just a minute. But I want to get to the other things so I don't forget about them. Coconut oil is a great antiviral. I do tend to put that in my tea and stuff a lot more in the winter time. And then things like kombucha and apple cider vinegar help to alkalize your body, whereas stuff like sugar meats, dairy products, and even wearing a mask tends to acidify your body. So the acidified body is a place where cancer can grow, and it's also a place where you cannot fight. Your immune system just cannot be at its topmost when your body is acidified, so you want it alkalized with things like apple cider vinegar, kombucha, and fruits and vegetables. So let's see. Let's get into some of the best foods. Well, we talked about vitamin D and vitamin A. Those are fat-soluble vitamins. To be able to absorb fat-soluble vitamins, you need to consume them with a good source of fat. One of the best sources of fat that's also high in vitamin E is avocados. So eating avocados, using avocado oil will help you to absorb your vitamin A and your vitamin D and your vitamin K better. And avocados are also high in vitamin E, which is a super antioxidant, and it's one of the ones that we don't get in a lot of foods that we eat. But you can get vitamin E from nuts and seeds and avocados. Wheat germ is another place too. But you don't want to put any of those in the freezer because freezing will destroy your vitamin E. Just a little tidbit. Pretty much any fruit or vegetable you pick up is going to alkalize your body, and it's going to have some form of vitamin A or vitamin C or something like that in there that's going to be really good for you. But some of the highest in vitamin A is going to be anything that's a deep, dark, orange, red, or green fruit or vegetable. So let's think of some of the easy to find sources of those. First of all, I think of carrots, sweet potatoes, broccoli, red bell peppers, butternut squash, pumpkin, mangoes, papayas, your dark leafy greens. You're going to hear this over and over again. But then also spinach, kale, those are dark greens too. Egg yolks, and grass-fed butter. Those are high in vitamin A. Vitamin C, pretty much any citrus. And citrus is fantastic for antiviral properties because it's also high in quercetin. Any of your berries, which are, by the way, high in quercetin. Vitamin C, you also get from some of the vegetables that I just mentioned before that are high in vitamin A, like red bell peppers and broccoli, spinach and kale, but also kiwi and Brussels sprouts and cabbage. So those are great sources of vitamin C. So think about using those not only for your meals, but like in snacks and stuff like that, and even see if you can sneak in something like some spinach or kale or some type of green with your pastured eggs, which have those nice dark egg yolks for breakfast, and maybe some avocado or grapefruit to go with it. So that way you're getting lots of antioxidants and lots of antiviral foods at your very first meal of the day for breakfast. Let's see. One food that I think is overlooked a whole lot, or maybe downplayed or said it's not good for you, would be just your ordinary potato. So we mentioned sweet potatoes because they're great for vitamin A, but just regular potatoes have a lot of vitamin C. To get a third less sugar, choose Yukon Gold potatoes or your red potatoes, because russets have 3 times the sugar of any of the other kind of potatoes. But potatoes, not only do they have a lot of vitamin C, but just a whole range of vitamins and minerals. If you're going to mash your potatoes, just one quick tip: do not chop them up and put them in water and boil them and then pour that water off, because when you do, vitamin C that potatoes are so high in is water soluble. So when you boiled it in the water, it just went into the water, and then when you pour off the water, you just lost all your vitamin C. You can steam them and then use them to mash them, or what I do is I cook them in just a little bit of water, but I don't pour it off, and then I mash them up right in that water, and then add like grass-fed butter and things like that. So salt and pepper, but let me see. Those are the highest, the very, very highest commonly found fruits and vegetables to get antivirals, but there are also some non-fruit and vegetable sources that are some good antivirals. So remember, you need zinc and selenium, but you also need protein so that your T cells can work better to protect your body against any kind of pathogen. So zinc and selenium, those are in some of the same type of foods. Tuna is a good source of both. Red meat, and I only advocate eating grass-fed red meat, is your best source of zinc. But then oysters are too, as well as chickpeas, which is what you make hummus out of. Let's see, selenium, besides seafood like tuna and halibut and cottage cheese, Brazil nuts are really high in selenium. So those are some good sources of that. And then protein, of course, would be animal foods, but also beans, nuts, and seeds. So those are all needed for a good functioning immune system, along with a very limited sugar intake, taking the supplements that I talked about before, and being sure to keep your body alkalized. That's all for now. Let me know what you would like to hear more of in the future.